So welcome to episode 42 of the Calon Yarns podcast. My name is Lynn and I'm coming to you from Cardiff in Wales in the UK, and this is a knitting, spinning, sometimes crochet, sometimes dyeing, but always fibre-based fortnightly podcast. And I say fortnightly podcast with a little bit of an apology this week because I know I am a week late, but work has been so busy as we kind of travelled towards the end of term, or hurtled towards the end of term, or limped. I'm not sure what the actual term should be, but we got there, we got to the end of term, and so now I have my out of office on and I am, yes, finding a bit more time to knit, to crochet and to podcast. So yes, apologies, I know I am a week late, but it is Saturday the 19th of December in a glorious day now in Cardiff. It was very, very wet this morning, but now is bright and crisp and lovely. So if you are a new viewer, welcome. Thank you so much for coming along. And if you are a returning or a regular viewer, thank you as always for coming back. It is nice to have you here. And hopefully you've got some nice knitting plans ready for the holiday break, which will be an absolute joy for everyone, I think. Difficult times, different environment maybe for Christmas, for those sort of holiday activities that we normally do, but nonetheless it will happen, and hopefully everybody will have a little bit of time off from the daily toil at the moment. What have I got for you today? Any finished objects? No, I do have some works in progress and some plans and some acquisitions ready for the Christmas break, so I can kind of get my teeth stuck into some more projects. But let us see what we get up to. So first things first, I am wearing my Ironworks tee by, you see, I was going so well. Ironworks tee by, no, completely gone out of my head. I will put it here. But this is hand spun. This is one of my first little hand spun projects with fibre from the Fibre Hut, and it's got a nice little border here which should be twice as long, but I didn't have enough of the red yarn, so whatever, we just go with the flow. We did as much as we could, but it's great. It's a nice little light jumper, so yes, not very festive, but you know, whatever. Yeah, so this is what I'm wearing projects wise. So now then, I know that I've told you about my exploration station by Stephen West, which I have started to do and couldn't really get very far because my brain just couldn't even read the pattern. However, I have made a little bit more progress, so I will show you now. So this is the Stephen West exploration station and is done from bits and bobs I found in my stash. So I was really keen, excuse the bashing and crashing, to have something a little bit more autumnal. So I chose some autumnal colours out of stash, and also the darker red is some of my hand spun, so it was nice to kind of get a bit of that in there. And what I really like, this spool of yarn here, can you see? It really goes from the yellows through to the grellos, and then it's got some browns and deeper greens in there as well. So I think that is really going to be a nice addition to this sort of autumnal, warmer toned scarf. And I'll put a picture in of what it should eventually look like. But I've nearly finished the wedge section. So if you don't know the pattern, it kind of comes in different sections so that you're exploring different knitting techniques. So this is lots of short rows and these kind of large double yarn overs to give you that the holes between the colours. So these are the wedges. I think I've got one more wedge to go before I think I go on to brioche. Done brioche before, in the middle of a brioche pattern. It is waiting in the wings in a bag somewhere. But yeah, hopefully I will have a little bit of time to be able to concentrate a bit more on that brioche, because that little section comes next, and I'm not sure which colours it's with actually, but yeah, we shall see. So yeah, I really like these colours. These aren't my usual colours. These are absolutely my usual colours, and those of you that have been with me for a while will know that I am a blues and teals person, but weirdly been drawn towards these more greeny tones. And I also have a new sweater. I'm going like that because it's over there. I know you can't see that, but it is, it's over there, just there, which I really love at the moment. So this will be a great scarf addition to that East sweater that I've just finished. Excuse me. So yeah, ticking away on that. Happy with the colour combination. It is on a 4mm needle, so it's quite an open weave, but I think it's quite a large scarf, so it'll be really nice and cosy around my neck. I'm going to take a slurp of water a second, excuse me. I've been so sort of office-based lately, doing so much admin. I'm not used to speaking for so long. Excuse I. So, what is next? So I've been doing a test knit for the glorious Julia of the Happy Knitting podcast. But now the pattern is out there, it's no longer a test knit, and I am woefully behind. So as always, Julia, if you are watching, I'm so sorry. But look, I have nearly got to the end of one sock. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the heel so that I can then work to know how far to go before I add the toe. So it's this lovely sort of lacy pattern along the front. I stretch it out, and it is called the Candle and Coffee. Is it Candles and Coffee? Coffee and Candle. I'll pop it down here, and is available on Ravelry or on Payhip, and it's a really lovely pattern because you have this section here which is patterned, and then you get the time off, the whiz through section along the back. So it's that perfect combination of something to keep your brain occupied but not too much that you always have to concentrate, and you can easily get the pattern into your brain. Even I could get it into my brain at the moment. So yes, so I'm just about to kind of match that up with a bit of bubblegum hot pink heels and toes. So nearly there, nearly at the end with that one, and then obviously straight away to cast on the new one, otherwise it'll just languish in the project bag. So that's my plan, get that one done and to cast on the other one before it wanes. We know that feeling, don't we? So yes, but I have 2 pairs of socks on the go at the moment. Now this pair is just a sort of a from your mind easy sort of pair of socks, but it is out of my hand spun. So I had this fanciful desire to make some sort of house socks. I've been watching a lot of kind of Norwegian Scandinavian drama series and stuff lately, and they've always got these glorious chunky house socks in their homes. They always look such cozy items, so I thought, right, that is what I want to make. So this is some hand spun. This is I think it is Hamburg, is it Gotland? No, Shetland. So this is Shetland Hamburg in natural kind of browns and creams. This was from the Fibre Hut as well in Evesham. And I wanted something that was natural, and I wanted to try and spin up a little bit thicker. And this has come out as pretty much a, I'd say a worsted weight, so between double knitting and Aran. It's a little bit thicker than that, and obviously because I'm not a particularly brilliant spinner, it's a bit thicker in some places than others. But what it is a lovely kind of fluffy, plumy yarn that doesn't have any nylon in. It's 100% superwash, so I wouldn't wear it with boots or socks or any boots or shoes or anything. I'm not sure how well it would last, but just for around the house, I think it's going to be very, very cozy indeed. So this actually is a pair for my husband, and this is how they've knitted up. So I've just done a 3-1 rib, which means that they do fit really nicely because they kind of hug the foot and the leg. Can you see that? Is it going to focus? Yeah. So it's a really fluffy, cozy texture. I've done a heel flap and gusset. I normally do afterthought heels at the moment, but Don't know why. Oh, I do know why. I'll tell you now in a second. So yeah, just about to start the toe, I think. I must get him to try them on now, and go for the for the toe. Dear gosh. Right, so the reason why I did a heel flap and gusset, because I didn't have circulars. This is on a 3.75. I wanted something quite tight in terms of the woven fabric so that it would be cozy. So this is on 3.75 needle. I think if I was making a sweater or something bigger out of something this thickness, obviously I would go up probably a 4.5 maybe. But it's a nice tight fabric. But my 3.75 double pointed needles were upstairs. So I was like, oh, if I do an afterthought heel or anything like that, I need to go upstairs to get my 3.75. So I just carried on with magic loop, and this is far too long. It's really getting on my nerves. But could I be bothered to dig in my project stash of needles and to get shorter cable? No, couldn't even be bothered to do that. So that is why it's not aesthetic or anything complicated. It was, I couldn't really be bothered to go upstairs. So there we go. But I haven't done a heel flap and gusset for ages, so I can pretend that it was because I wanted to revisit that heel rather than I was too lazy to go upstairs. Hey ho, at least I'm honest. So yes, heading towards the toe, and I will be doing the toe on the magic loop, because even though I am now upstairs, I still can't be bothered to look for the needles. But there we are. So that is one done there. So what's quite nice about those projects is that both small, so that I can chuck them in my bag, because we will be having a couple of days away, which I will talk about later on once we get past all the fibery goodness. So those really are the only projects. Oh no, one more project. This, finally, I have had the working out brain space to be able to cast on a sweater for my husband. I'll put an image here actually of what it will be, or a version of what it will be. It's based on the Icefall sweater by Tin Can Knits, but I'm using the pattern from the Strange Brew. So you concoct your own pattern. It gives you lots of outlines of options, how big you want it, what yarn you're using, and then you kind of follow the recipe, the pattern, and you add in your increases, your decreases, whether you're going bottom up or top down, etc, etc. So that it does require a little bit of working out, making sure that you're following the path of the pattern that you want, the size you want, the yarn thickness you want. So yes, I've managed to kind of get my head around all that. So even though I'm using the colour work pattern of the Icefall, the actual sweater itself is the Strange Brew pattern that I'm following, if you get my drift. So I have cast on, I have started to increase, and I'm just about, I think I'm about 3 or 4 rows, oh that's the wrong side, I'm about 3 or 4 rows off adding the colour work section. So this is some hand dyed I did earlier in the year, just at the end of the summer really, before my kitchen got decimated, so it was okay, I could make a mess with my hand dyes and it wouldn't be a problem. So yeah, so that's a double knit thickness, I think it's it's BFL, Blue Faced Leicester, and the colour work bit, the patterned bit of the yoke will just be in a undyed BFL. So I got a couple of packets of this, dyed half of it, and the rest of it I left as just clear and undyed, so that will be the colour work yoke bit. So yeah, I think what I do have for this sort of 2 weeks of holiday is enough little projects to keep me going. Something that you have to follow the pattern for, a couple of socks which are easily transportable, the sweater with the colour work, and then eventually the simple round and round. And then I've got some little spinning projects to share with you. So knitting wise, I feel like I'm sorted. Do you know what it's like? You've got to kind of start those projects so that you know that they are there and ready, so that you can pick up, you can rotate those project bags. and yeah, there's quite a few project bags, but that's fine. When we actually go away for Christmas, I think I'll have my case of clothes and my case of project bags. I think that's how it's kind of working out at the moment. Hopefully I'll be able to shove them all in one bag, but hey, who cares? But yeah, sweater wise, I forgot to say I'm doing it on a 4mm needle as well. So started off 3.5 and then heading into 4mm needles. I've got a selection of needles actually. These are the Knit Pro, the Symphony interchangeables, but I've also been working on a set of Zings with a slightly smaller cord. That's what I cast on with, and then I think I've got a pair of Addy metal needles for when it starts to get a little bit bigger. So a combination of needles, and I know some people say that that can sort of affect your gauge. I've never really found it to be a particular problem, because I think once everything's blocked it all sort of calms down anyway, so it's not too difficult, and the yarn isn't particularly slippy, so sometimes it's better, isn't it, to use wooden needles when you've got particularly slippy or slidey yarn, because sometimes when you're using oops, we went off then for some strange reason. Anyway, so yes, metal needles can be a little bit slippy if you've got particularly slidey yarn, but because it's BFL and it is a superwash, but it still has a little bit of crunch to it, a little bit rusticy. You can kind of feel the wooliness of it, so it doesn't slide too much off the metal needles, and is absolutely fine on the Symphony, so hopefully shouldn't be too much of an issue as I start to get further down the body. So yeah, knitting wise that's about it really. And then onto the spinning. So it has been lovely to do some spinning, relatively new spinner, but very, very much enjoying whatever is kind of coming off my wheel onto the bobbin. I'm not particularly precious about it, I just really enjoy the process. And it's been nice actually to have a couple of hours of an evening in front of the fire with my spinning wheel to kind of decompress from the days. So that's been great, and I have been spinning. This is Yarnadelic. I bought this, gosh, beginning of the year I think. This is a John Arbon textile fibre. Look at that, isn't it just beautiful? The camera doesn't even know what to do with itself. It's coming up a little bit lighter on the screen, but it is, those colours are very vibrant. The kind of lime greens and the sky blues, and there's a little bit of purple in there. And this is called Black Gold of the Sun. Oh, what a brilliant title is that. Like I've said before, I think the names of the fibres and the colours are just as scrumptious as the actual fibre themselves. So yes, I am absolutely loving these colours. Yarn content, fibre content rather, I can't quite remember what it is at the moment. It doesn't have it on here, but I'll put that below. So yeah, this is the, hello, can you find it? Yes, this is their logo, John Arbon Textiles, which I'm sure a lot of you know. So yeah, I've got 500 grams of this. Hoping to make a sweater, not sure what pattern yet, we shall see. But this is how it is spinning up. This is my first bobbin. And yes, just as glorious really. What's been interesting to find out is, even though things look quite bright in the fibre, what I've learned is that things get dulled down a little bit as they kind of go into the yarn itself. So there's quite a bit of difference. You know, this kind of looks quite bright, but it does get dulled down, which is handy to know. And yes, I'm sure all you spinners are shouting at the screen going, yes, we know that. I didn't know it. So when you're kind of looking for fibre colours, it's what I found is I can be a little bit braver maybe, because things that often seem quite outlandish or vibrant in the fluff ball, they do come out a little bit more subtle once you have spun them up. So I know I can be a little bit bolder in my choices maybe, although I have made a couple of bold choices which now seem okay actually, because I know that they won't be too crazy once they get into a skein. So yeah, I've been ticking away on that, and then I've got plenty of fibre to take to keep me going over Christmas, so I certainly don't need to be making any more purchases on that score. I've got plenty to keep me going. But I did buy earlier in December, or was it even November? I think it was in November time. I knew I wanted to have a spinning project over the 12 days of Christmas. And I know a lot of people do the Vlogmas from the beginning of December. I never have time. I don't know about you, but yeah, December is really, really busy. So thinking about trying to make something in that time, or to keep track of what I'm up to in that time, is always a little bit difficult. However, once I get to Christmas, that's when I have some quiet time from Christmas to the new year before the term starts again. So I bought something for essentially those 12 days of Christmas, because I think, if my memory serves me right, yeah, the 12 days of Christmas is from the 24th of December onwards. So yes, I have bought myself something to have my 12 spins of Christmas, I suppose. And I saw, I'll put a picture of it here because it looks so much more brilliant and beautiful in the picture than it does in the packet, and you'll see why in a second. So I found this wonderful dye called Firewell Fibres, and this just absolutely jumped out at me, these beautiful rolags. So here they are in their packet. Look at those, aren't they just glorious? And I haven't taken them out of the packet yet because I want them to be in good order when I put them in my case to take them away. But I thought they were just beautiful. Excuse the crinkling. I cannot wait. I've not spun from rolags before, so that'll be an experiment in itself. And I will bring you along with me, of course. So yes, Medusa. Medusa is the name. Isn't that just beautiful? So I'm hoping that I can create one long spin so that it goes through the colours, and then I'm going to try chain plying it together. So I've done chain plying before. It's not brilliant, and I've had some really, really helpful comments. I put a little kind of vlog about chain plying, or my exploration of different fibres, etc. And I hope to do some more of those soon. But I had a great comment that by Tracy, I think it was, I will check, who said you need to kind of make sure that your hands are further apart, or that you take more fibre through before you grab the next bit of fibre. So that was really helpful. Thank you so, so much. So yeah, I think chain plying will then keep that colour sequence going rather than plying together, because then different colours would go on top of each other, which also would probably look fabulous with these colours. But I would like to keep it so it's almost like a bit of a self-striping skein. What I'll do with it after that, who knows? But let's just concentrate on the task in hand, really. And then I had a little free gift with it, which is called Byways, and look how pretty that is. It's like a little pretty snail. So that is gorgeous as well. And this is their logo. If you are tempted by some beautiful, beautiful fibre, have a look. You will not be disappointed. I think I found her on Etsy. And it's merino, 100% merino. So yes, maybe it'll become a coloured yoke. Who knows? Who knows? So that is that. I think, fibre-wise, that is about it, to be honest. So if you are leaving me here, thank you so, so much for coming along. And as I say, apologies for the week late podcast. But we got there in the end, and I hope you have got some wonderful projects on the needles, or on the hooks, or on the wheel, whatever you're up to. And yes, I will catch up with you soon. But if you are staying for a bit of chit-chat, what have I been up to? Well, for those of you that know, I teach in a university, and I teach on an acting course, so the course is very, very practical. So therefore, it's been quite a challenge this term, but we did it, we got there. We carried on doing all our practical sessions as we would have done ordinarily. Some of our more discussion or table read sessions that we would have had discussing scripts or characters, things like that, we've managed to do those online on Zoom. But yeah, we have been able to be in the rehearsal rooms, and the students have been fantastic, and the university has been great around putting lots and lots of different health and safety guidelines in place to keep everyone safe. And we did get through the whole term, touching wood, I don't know why we do this, but yeah, there we are. We did get through the whole term with no cases through the student or staff body, which was brilliant, which means it can be done. So we were really pleased with that. So we managed to do all our practical assessments and our shows, etc., with no audiences, unfortunately, but at least the students got their assessments done. So yeah, the last few weeks of term were incredibly busy. Lots and lots of marking to do, lots and lots of assessments to set up, because as you know, functioning in this kind of COVID world, everything takes twice as long. Even getting into the room takes twice as long, with the social distancing and the sanitizing of hands. So yeah, everything took twice as long. But we got there, we did it, and so that's why the radio silence, really. I just didn't have any time to kind of sit down and do any knitting, and while it's always lovely to chat to you, I had nothing to tell you, really, knitting-wise, so which is why I didn't hop on to camera. But we're there. Yesterday was the last day of work, of term for the staff. The students finished last week, and the university has closed. They will be closed for 2 weeks, which is such a godsend. And it means that there should be nothing flying around. There should be no emails flying around, because everybody should be off. And we regroup then the 4th of January. So I do feel absolutely blessed and lucky to have that gap of time, because I know people are still working full on up to Christmas, and the NHS and frontline workers will be working through Christmas and out the other side. So I know how lucky I am to have these 2 weeks, really. What will we be getting up to? So Christmas will be small. We will just be our little household, and hopefully do some little trips here and there, not to anyone's homes, but just to kind of maybe go on a nice walk with with my uncle and his family, so that we get to see them, but we're not inside. It'll be quite a limited affair, I think, but I think that's the same for everyone. The most important thing is that people are kept safe and well at this moment, and we can hopefully get into the new year and then plan some time of when we're going to spend a bit more time with family and friends, because I'm sure if you're anything like me and my family, really missing those interactions with wider members of our friendship groups or our family groups. And it's really weird, you forget, I think, or you didn't realise actually how much just grabbing a coffee with someone, or meeting someone for a meal, or spending time with wider family members is such a blessing. I don't think we'll ever look at it the same. Well, I hope we don't anyway. I hope we realise and are grateful for what it actually is, because I'm sure we all have those times where you think, oh gosh, Christmas can be quite stressful with larger family groups, and now all of a sudden when it's dragged away from us, we kind of think, no, we want it back to how it was, those Christmas traditions. Although, to be fair, I'm sure there are people who feel quite liberated by not having to do those large family trips, possibly around the country, or having to prepare for a large family Christmas. It can be really stressful. So yeah, maybe we can kind of turn it the other way and go, actually, the quiet Christmas is also quite a blessing in disguise, maybe. It's just different, isn't it? And I think we can appreciate that. We will be a very small family unit, but there we go. I'm sure we'll be playing some board games and playing a few games of cards and having some nice treats and a couple of bottles of wine, maybe. Excuse me. So yeah, it'll be fine. But hopefully you've got some projects, etc., to keep you going. You've got your knitting plans, your spinning plans, your crochet plans, so that you've got something nice and soothing and productive to do over Christmas. But in terms of what else, that's about it, I think. It's so lovely to have the out of office on, and I'll be doing a couple of vlogs, just kind of taking you through my day-to-day. But I will hopefully meet up with you maybe next week, depending on how much knitting I get done. But if not, certainly in a couple of weeks, which will be after Christmas. I can't believe how close it is. It's crazy, isn't it? Yeah, 19th, so a week today will be Boxing Day. Well, there we go. Maybe I'll get some chance in the day after Christmas is always a little bit of a whitewash maybe. For us, it's the day of sitting down, eating leftovers and just chilling and watching the telly. But hopefully we'll go out for some nice walks if the weather is fine. That's always good to do. Yeah, so I'll see you in a week's time, hopefully. Have a good one. Be safe, be happy, be healthy, and I will see you on the other side, as they say. Okay, diolch pawb, take care, hwyl fawr.